My family ambushed me with a fake birthday party that was really a list of accusations, so I left them spinning when I said what no one dared to hear. I'm Tom, a 34-year-old man. A few weeks ago, I planned a chill birthday dinner. Nothing big, just steak, wine, and a couple of close friends. I didn't want attention, and I especially didn't want drama. But apparently, drama wanted me. Family has always been a layered mess. My mom is the kind of person who needs to control every little thing, and my older sister took after her like it was a full-time job. When I left my job in corporate law, they both treated it like I joined a cult. I didn't leave on a whim. I'd burned out hard, late nights, 90-hour weeks, deadlines stacked on top of deadlines. I wanted my life back, so I took some time off, started consulting here and there, and traveled a bit. My mom called it a midlife crisis. My sister joked I was unemployable, and my dad stayed quiet like he always does. Still, I invited all of them to my birthday dinner. I knew they probably wouldn't come, but I figured I'd offer. They didn't even reply. No text, no call, no maybe. Just silence. Lily, my girlfriend of 8 months, noticed it too. She thought it was weird that nobody even acknowledged my birthday. No card, no post, not even a generic Facebook message. Then, 2 days before my birthday, my sister called out of nowhere. She said they were planning a small lunch at our parents' house. Said it'd just be something casual for the family. It was out of the blue and didn't feel right. Lily was immediately suspicious. She told me it sounded off, like something else was going on. I laughed it off, thought maybe they were finally trying to make an effort. I should have listened to her. I got to my parents' house on the day of the lunch, and something felt wrong the second I walked in. The dining table was gone, not pushed aside, gone. Instead, a bunch of chairs had been arranged in a circle, like a group therapy session or a team-building seminar. Every single family member was already there, my parents, my sister, an uncle I hadn't seen since I was in college, and even my cousin Leo, who works at the admin desk of a psych clinic. They were all sitting quietly, waiting. My mom had a clipboard in her lap. I stood there, confused, waiting for someone to explain. My sister stood up and said they were holding a family discussion about my life choices. Before I could say anything, she handed me a printed packet. No joke, an actual packet. It had bullet points. I flipped through it and saw subheadings like concerning behaviors, career responsibility, and negative influences. I thought it was a joke at first. Then I looked at their faces and realized it wasn't. Leo, my cousin, introduced himself as the facilitator, said he would be helping guide the conversation. He doesn't have any kind of psychology degree, he just works the front desk. That didn't stop him from using words like intervention, pattern analysis, and support network. My mom jumped in and started listing the ways I'd let myself go. She mentioned my beard, my jeans, my freelance schedule. My sister took over and said I was rejecting normal structure. She brought up the job offers I turned down, like she knew all the details. She didn't. Then she started talking about Lily, said she was enabling my so-called decline. That's when Lily walked in. She had no idea what she was walking into. She was holding a cake, my favorite kind, chocolate with mint frosting. The second she saw the circle of chairs and the handouts, she froze. My sister didn't waste a second. She stood up and told Lily she was part of the problem and that I was acting out because of her. Lily didn't even get a chance to speak. The room exploded. My uncle started shouting something about family duty. My mom kept trying to read off her clipboard. My cousin asked everyone to bring it back to center. It was chaos. I stood up, looked at everyone, and told them they were absolutely out of their minds. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I just said I was done. I took Lily's hand, and we walked out together, left the cake on the floor, didn't look back. Later that night, my mom sent me a text saying she hoped I'd come to my senses soon. I didn't reply. I didn't block them, not yet, but I put every one of them on silent and haven't responded to a single message since. And as much as I want to say that was the worst of it, it wasn't even close. 2 days after the failed intervention, Lily and I were at her apartment when a large padded envelope arrived at her door. It was addressed to me, but with my full name printed in capital letters, something only my sister ever does. Inside was a printed document, about 20 pages thick, clipped at the corner. The title page read, Family Concern Plan. It was basically the same intervention notes from before, but expanded. Each page broke down different issues in my life. One section had a list of jobs I should apply to, complete with company names and job descriptions. Another had grooming suggestions, links to barber shops, men's skincare products, even clothing stores with mature style options. The last part was a bullet list of steps to reintegration, which included things like weekly family dinners, monthly career updates, and therapy sessions with a therapist my mother handpicked. It didn't stop there. That same day, I started getting follow requests on social media from burner accounts. No profile pictures, just usernames like Concerned Uncle and Family Matters 34. One of them messaged me, saying I needed to man up and stop throwing away the family name. I blocked all of them. A few hours later, I got a message from a friend I hadn't spoken to in years, asking why my sister was reaching out to people from my college and law school network. She was telling them I had abandoned my responsibilities and asking if I was using substances. That was when I realized this wasn't just about concern, this was full-blown reputation sabotage. Lily and I talked about what to do. She suggested I get ahead of it and call a few key people before my sister could poison the well. So I did. I called an old mentor, a client I recently consulted for, and a few former colleagues. Every single one of them had either already heard from her or had seen something odd pop up, like anonymous emails warning them not to associate with a mentally unstable man in professional circles. I was stunned. This wasn't just about family anymore, she was trying to destroy my career too. I drove to my parents' house, unannounced. My dad answered the door. I asked him point blank if he knew what my sister was doing. He looked uncomfortable and didn't answer right away. Then he stepped outside, shut the door behind him, and told me she had convinced my mom that I was spiraling and that a stronger intervention was necessary. I asked him why he didn't stop it. He shrugged and said he didn't want to take sides. He added that he was tired of being in the middle and said I should talk to my sister. I told him I wasn't going to. That night, I got a text from my sister. It was long. She said I was acting paranoid, that I was pushing everyone away, and that she was only trying to help me reclaim structure. I didn't respond. I blocked her number, then I blocked my mother's too. I deleted every single contact related to that side of the family from my phone. 3 days later, Lily and I came back to my apartment and found an envelope taped to the door. No stamp, no name, just one page inside. It was a typed list of commitments I needed to make if I wanted to be welcomed back. Underneath the list, someone had written in pen, "Clock is ticking." That was the final straw. I went to the front desk of my building, showed them the paper, and asked to check the security footage. They said they couldn't release the footage without police involvement, so I filed a report that same afternoon and provided a written statement to get things moving. I gave the officer everything: the envelope, the fake accounts, the sabotage attempts, the anonymous emails. They couldn't do much with it immediately, but they said they'd file a formal warning and open an incident record. I also gave the building manager a list of people who weren't allowed near my unit anymore. They added it to my file and flagged both my mother and sister. Meanwhile, Lily started getting weird phone calls at work. First, someone pretending to be a client, then someone who just breathed into the phone. She had her number changed. 2 days later, someone emailed her boss, pretending to be her ex-boyfriend, claiming she was part of a scam with me. Her boss figured out it was fake almost immediately, but it was enough for us to realize things were escalating. We packed bags and stayed at a hotel for a few nights. I hired a lawyer the next day, not to sue anyone yet, but to get advice on restraining orders and digital harassment. He helped me set up monitoring tools for my email and social accounts. He also helped me send a cease and desist letter to my sister. A week after the intervention, I got a letter in the mail. It was from my aunt, my mom's sister. She wrote that she heard some drama happened and that I should be kind to my mother because she's just worried. I never replied. I blocked her too. I haven't spoken to a single person from my immediate family since then. Lily and I are looking for a new apartment, somewhere with a secure entry and no shared mailbox. I wish I could say that was the end of it, but it wasn't, not even close. The morning after the intervention, Lily sat on the edge of the bed, holding her phone, still in shock. She kept replaying what happened, trying to make sense of it. She thought she'd ruined my birthday by walking in with a cake at the worst possible moment. I told her she probably saved me from sitting through the rest of that circus. While we were talking, my phone buzzed. It was a long message from my sister. She called me selfish, accused me of humiliating our mother, and said I owed the family an apology for disrupting a peaceful conversation. I didn't even open the rest of it. I blocked her number, then blocked my cousin Leo's right after. I wasn't going to argue or explain anything. I just wanted it all to stop. That same afternoon, I called someone I hadn't spoken to in years, my cousin Leo's ex-husband, Brian. We'd stayed on decent terms after their divorce, mostly through social media. I figured if anyone had some idea of what was really going on, it would be him. He didn't hesitate. He told me this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. My sister had been planning something for weeks, and Leo had mentioned it to him casually, thinking it was just a family lunch. Brian gave me access to an old family group chat I'd been removed from. There were weeks of unread messages, scripts, literal scripts, labeled sections like opening remarks, handling defensiveness, and redirecting anger. My mother had uploaded a schedule, arrival times, seating arrangements, even who would bring refreshments. One message listed talking points about me. It read like a roast, disguised as a diagnosis. Things like still dresses like a college student, refuses to grow up, and lacks direction. Another one said, doesn't own a reliable vehicle, even though I'd sold my car before traveling abroad. Then I saw the one that stopped me cold, still dating someone outside the culture. Could be part of the problem. It was written by my sister. Nobody in the chat challenged it, they just kept planning. Lily leaned over, read the message, and got quiet. She didn't say anything, but I could tell that hit her hard. She's Korean American, my family is white. I always knew there were small things, comments, looks, but this was different. This wasn't about my job or my choices, it was about control, and maybe more than that. I kept scrolling. My dad hadn't posted a single message, not one comment, not one emoji, just silence. I called him later that evening. He answered, but there was a pause before he spoke. I asked if he knew everything that had been said and planned. He said he didn't agree with everything but believed they were just trying to help, even if it clearly got out of hand. I asked if he thought the line about Lily was acceptable. He didn't respond to that, just sighed and said he didn't want to get into all that. That was the last time I spoke to him. Later that night, my Uncle Frank, who had been at the intervention, called me privately. He sounded awkward but apologized, said he didn't know what he was walking into, and that the whole thing made him deeply uncomfortable. He'd been told it would be a birthday lunch with a family meeting to follow. He only stayed because he didn't want to make a scene. He told me he was sorry I got ambushed like that. The next day, I got an email from my mother. It was short but somehow still had bullet points. She said she was willing to forgive the disruption if I agreed to attend 6 therapy sessions with a counselor she trusted. She even attached a link to the therapist's website. I clicked on it. The woman wasn't a therapist. She was a self-described life clarity coach who had spoken at my mother's church several times. No degree, no license, just testimonials from churchgoers and a blog full of phrases like emotional realignment and obedient maturity. I sent back a one-line reply, "You used my birthday as a public ambush. I'm not interested in reconciliation." About an hour later, that exact message showed up again, this time forwarded by my sister to our entire extended family. She added her own paragraph above it, calling me ungrateful and hostile. Then came the emails, one from a second cousin I hadn't seen in over a decade, telling me I was being too harsh, another from an aunt, asking if I was under Lily's influence, a third one from my grandfather's old neighbor, telling me I should call my mother before she has another episode. I blocked all of them. Lily and I talked again that night. She asked what I wanted to do next. I didn't have an answer, but I knew one thing. This wasn't about fixing anything, this was about control. And now that I wasn't playing along, they were trying to punish me for it. We started looking for a new apartment that same week. 3 weeks after the intervention, I got a message that made me stop mid-step. It was from Amanda, my ex from 3 years ago. We hadn't spoken since we ended things. It wasn't a bad breakup, but it wasn't friendly either. I didn't even have her number saved anymore. Her message was short. She told me my sister had reached out to her twice. The first time was casual, asking if Amanda had noticed any signs of instability when we were together. The second was more direct. My sister wanted Amanda to confirm that I had a pattern of isolating behavior and that Lily was controlling me. Amanda didn't respond at first, but after the second message, she replied with a few lines, telling my sister to lose her number. Then she screenshotted everything and sent it to me. One of the messages actually called Lily a bad influence with too much control. Another one said I was clearly being manipulated away from my true path. The words sounded rehearsed, like part of a script. Amanda's exact words in her final message to me were, "I always knew your family was weird. Good luck getting out." That same week, my aunt, my mother's youngest sister, started posting cryptic things online. Stuff like, sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind, and tough love doesn't always look like love. Lily's mother saw it and asked Lily if something was going on. That turned into a full dinner conversation. Lily had to explain everything. How my family had tried to stage an intervention, how they were now trying to pull other people into it, and how we were trying to move forward. Her parents were polite about it, but I could tell they were shocked. They'd met my family once, a couple of holidays ago, and now they were getting dragged into this. I could see how embarrassed Lily was, having to sit there and explain it like some kind of messy TV plot. I helped answer what I could, but it felt surreal to be in that position at all. The next night, I got a voicemail from my father. He asked me to just attend one therapy session to show that I was willing to listen. I didn't even finish listening. I typed a single message and sent it to him. I'm cutting ties with everyone who is involved in that intervention and everything that followed. Do not contact me again. Then I blocked his number. I'd already blocked my mother, my sister, my cousin, and 2 aunts. Now he joined the list. None of them could reach me anymore. No calls, no texts, nothing. Lily sat next to me after that and reminded me of something she once said before all this started. Family isn't always safe just because they're family. I remembered it. She said it after one of the first dinners with my mom when things were already starting to go sideways. This time, it landed. It helped me stand my ground. Amanda messaged one more time the following day, just a single sentence. Whatever path you're on, it's better than the one they had planned for you. I didn't reply, but I appreciated it. She didn't have to tell me anything, and the fact that she shut my sister down without hesitation meant more than she probably realized. Lily and I decided to take a break from everything for a weekend. We booked a cabin a few hours out of town, somewhere with no cell service and no neighbors. We packed books, snacks, and just disappeared for 3 days. No notifications, no group chats, no unexpected knocks on the door. Just quiet. For the first time in a while, I felt like I could breathe. But the peace didn't last. When we got back to the city, I had 3 emails flagged by my spam filter. All 3 were from different names, but they had one thing in common. They were sent from the same domain, a domain tied to an accountability coaching group my sister had once mentioned being part of. Inside one of the emails was a detailed summary of next steps for supporting a loved one in mental disrepair. It read like a training manual. One part even suggested coordinating with the target's employer or colleagues to ensure accountability and awareness. I thought it was a prank until I got a text from a former client asking if everything was okay. He said he'd received a strange message from someone claiming to be my family support advocate, warning him that I might be dealing with a mental health issue that could affect my consulting performance. The email was vague enough to sound legal, but weird enough to raise alarms. I asked him to forward it to me. The address matched one of the burner names from earlier. That's when I knew my sister wasn't done. She had tried to get to me through family, then through my girlfriend, then through my ex. Now she was going after my work. This wasn't just about dragging me back under her control. This was about destroying anything that gave me independence from them. I wasn't going to let that happen. When Lily and I got back from the cabin, I went straight into catch-up mode. I had a couple of meetings scheduled, some client work to wrap up, and I was hoping the weekend away had put some distance between us and everything else. It hadn't. When I walked into the office, my boss was already standing near my desk. He wasn't smiling, and he didn't make small talk. He just asked if we could talk somewhere private. We headed to a meeting room. As soon as the door closed, he sat down and rubbed the back of his neck, like he didn't know how to start. Then he dropped it. He told me that about a week ago, while Lily and I were off the grid, my sister had reached out to him directly. She introduced herself as a concerned family member and said I was going through a mental health crisis. She told him she was organizing a supportive intervention and believed that having someone from my professional life present would give it more weight. She sent him a document about bridging work and wellness. It included bullet points. She framed it like it was some kind of collaborative effort between family and colleagues. Then he told me something that nearly made me laugh out loud. He actually went. He thought it was going to be a simple conversation, maybe something about burnout or stress. He showed up at my parents' house and walked into a room with arranged chairs, a clipboard in my mother's hands, and my cousin standing at the front like a motivational speaker. He stayed for less than 10 minutes. He said the second someone used the phrase seductive partner influence, he knew it was something else entirely. He excused himself and left without saying a word. He told me that when I didn't show up to work the following Monday, he was half convinced they had staged some kind of forced wellness retreat. After that, Human Resources contacted him. My sister had also emailed HR. She sent them a version of the same message, but this time with a slightly more professional tone. She used phrases like early warning signs and duty of care and suggested employer involvement. She actually tried to get them to schedule a formal meeting about my mental fitness. HR flagged the email, marked it as unusual, and set up a meeting with me. I explained everything: the intervention, the family group chat, the targeting of Lily, the attempted sabotage. I kept it factual, no drama, just the timeline and the receipts. They marked it down as a personal family matter. No official report was filed. They just asked me to forward any future communication that came through company channels. That night, I went back into the archived family group chat. I hadn't checked it in a few days, but I wanted to see if they were still posting. Most of it was quiet, except for one new upload, a PDF. The file was named Career Concerns Tom. It was a 5-page list of exaggerated or completely fake details. It said, I meditated too often, showed signs of digital disconnection, refused to invest in property, and prioritized partner influence over stability. It even accused me of frequent use of casual language in professional settings. The last line read, Current partner does not encourage career growth, may be part of psychological stagnation. I saved the file and emailed one last message to my sister. It had no greeting, just one line, dragging my work into this was your final mistake. I attached a copy of the email she sent my boss in HR, then I blocked her email permanently. Lily set up filters on my accounts to make sure anything from her or anyone associated with her was automatically deleted. The next morning, I got a text from an unknown number. It was my father. He said he heard I had been harsh and that family sometimes overreaches because it cares too much. He asked if we could talk. I blocked the number. That was the last channel open. Now they have no way to reach me. Lily and I finalized the lease on a new apartment the same week, different neighborhood, better security, digital key entry. We didn't post our new address anywhere, no mail forwarding. We changed our phone numbers and only gave them out to a few trusted people. We packed our stuff over the next couple of days. On the last night in the old apartment, Lily found another envelope slipped under the door. No name, no handwriting, just a printed note, you'll thank us one day. We dropped it straight in the shredder without opening the rest. We're out now, clean break, or at least it was supposed to be, because a few days later I found out something else. My sister hadn't just been reaching out to people from my job. She had started contacting Lily's workplace too, and that took things to a completely different level. A week after we moved into the new apartment, I came home from a late client meeting and saw something taped to the front door. It was a handwritten note in thick blue marker, Call us, we are not giving up. The handwriting was my mother's. Lily was still at work when I got in, so I checked the building security app. We'd set up a camera outside our unit and requested access to hallway footage from management. A few hours earlier, 4 people had been caught standing outside our door, my mother, father, sister, and cousin Leo. They were holding what looked like folders, 2 tote bags, and a rolled-up poster. My sister had a clipboard again. They stood outside the door for 10 minutes. My mother kept glancing around, trying to act casual, while my cousin peeked through the peephole and wrote something on a notepad. They entered the building by tailgating someone coming in with groceries. Once the tenant walked past, they rushed up the stairs to our floor. It was clear none of them had any kind of permission to be there. I called the building manager the next morning after reviewing the footage. She escalated it to building security for further review. The video had a timestamp and clear facial recognition, and because they weren't listed on our guest permissions, it counted as an unauthorized entry. The manager added all 4 of them to the restricted list and flagged their names with building security. If they tried to come back, the front desk would call the police immediately. Later that evening, my cousin emailed me from a different address. He wrote that they had left behind helpful reading material and hoped I would come to understand the purpose behind their effort. I didn't open the attachment. I deleted the message and flagged the sender. That was the 3rd email address I'd seen him use since blocking his original one. The next day, Lily got 2 back-to-back calls from unfamiliar numbers. She ignored the first and answered the second, thinking it might be something work-related. It was my sister. The call lasted about 30 seconds. Lily told her not to contact her again and ended the call. After that, 5 unfamiliar numbers, clearly burner lines, tried calling over the next few hours. She blocked every one of them. An hour after the last call, Lily received an email from an unknown account. The subject line was a mother's apology. It was from my mother. She wrote that they regretted how things escalated but still framed the apartment visit as an act of desperate love. She attached 2 files. One was a digital therapy referral form from the same church-affiliated coach as before. The second was a photo of my old bedroom, cleaned up and repainted, with fresh bed sheets and a note on the pillow that said, "Come home." I forwarded the message to my email, documented everything, and deleted it. That same night, I filed a non-emergency police report. I gave them the building footage, the note, and the emails. I told them this wasn't about trespassing. It was a pattern of unwanted contact that now involved both me and my girlfriend. The officer I spoke to took it down and gave me a reference number in case it escalated again. I also gave my boss a heads up, just in case someone decided to pull another workplace stunt. I didn't want to be caught off guard a second time. He was understanding, especially after the last incident, and assured me he'd alert our HR rep if anything suspicious came through again. Lily's father had been following everything from a distance. After hearing about the apartment visit, he reached out to a legal contact who specialized in family-related harassment cases. We spoke to her over video call. She said that while it wasn't yet grounds for a full restraining order, we were well within our rights to formally warn them via a lawyer and begin gathering evidence for future legal steps. She also explained how to set up cease and desist letters properly, and which documentation would hold up best if it came to that. 2 days later, my aunt and uncle, different ones from before, reached out to say they understood the visit and thought I was overreacting to a heartfelt gesture. I didn't respond. I blocked them both. That same day, someone posted in our tenant group chat. It was a neighbor 2 doors down who had no idea what was happening. He asked if anyone else had seen 4 strangers loitering outside Unit 3C around midday, and said it made his wife uncomfortable. A few tenants replied, saying they'd seen them too, but assumed it was a moving crew or relatives. That confirmed what we'd seen on camera and proved that their visit hadn't gone unnoticed. After that, I changed our door code, installed an additional smart camera above the entrance, and adjusted the guest access settings. Only Lily and I had the authority to let anyone in now. We also added motion alerts to our phones and disabled deliveries from sitting unattended at our door. This was no longer just dysfunctional behavior, it was organized, deliberate, and escalating. And still, I had the feeling it wasn't over. Because if showing up uninvited didn't work, I knew they'd try something else. 3 weeks after we reported the apartment incident, things escalated again, but this time, they came for Lily directly. I was in the middle of a call with a client when a message from Lily popped up on my screen, emergency. Call me now. I ended the call without explanation and stepped out into the hallway. Lily told me my mother and cousin Leo had just shown up at her office building. They brought a tin of cookies and a binder and told the receptionist they were there to speak to human resources about a personal matter involving one of the staff. Her manager was alerted before they got past the lobby. Security escorted them out after they refused to leave quietly. Lily didn't even see them face to face, but the receptionist said they tried to leave a binder behind, something that HR immediately flagged and escalated as a potential security risk. It had printed screenshots of old family group chat messages, photos of me from years ago, and handwritten pages accusing Lily of cutting me off from my support system. One of the notes said, "He used to laugh before her. Now he's unrecognizable." Another listed things they believed Lily had influenced: my career change, my decision not to attend a cousin's wedding, and my recent lease. One page said she had isolated me and encouraged anti-family thinking. Lily's HR team took the situation seriously. They filed a formal incident report, forwarded it to their legal department, and updated building access procedures. Her ID badge permissions were adjusted so she could enter through a secured door, and they advised her to begin the process of applying for a restraining order if anything further happened. That evening, I printed out the cease and desist letter we'd prepared, with the help of the lawyer Lily's father referred us to. I drove to my parents' house, parked down the street, walked up to the door, and placed the envelope under the doormat. No knocking, no note, no words. On my way back to the car, my phone rang. It was my father. I watched the screen for a few seconds, then hit block without answering. That was the last open number I hadn't blocked. Now all of them, my mother, father, sister, cousin, and every aunt or uncle who defended their actions, are locked out permanently. Lily's parents invited us over the next day. When they heard what happened, they were livid. Her father was especially direct. He said, "This is not normal. You don't owe them anything." They offered to help cover any legal fees and made it clear they supported whatever steps we needed to take. Lily's mother called it what it was: harassment dressed up as family concern. That same weekend, my sister posted a long Facebook rant. It didn't name us directly, but it included several not-so-subtle lines, like watching someone throw away a legacy for a stranger and being manipulated by someone who doesn't understand our values. There were also photos, screenshots from Lily's private Instagram account, including one from our cabin weekend. Lily submitted a report for privacy violation. Within 24 hours, the post was taken down. She made her account private again and removed over 30 followers she didn't recognize. One of them had apparently been a fake profile created by my sister weeks earlier to spy on her posts. The username was a fake book club name, something my sister had once casually mentioned in the family chat. The fallout from that post led to something unexpected. A friend we both knew from college messaged me. They said they had blocked my sister after she messaged them, asking for support in confronting my dangerous life choices. They told me they wanted no part in what she was doing and hoped I'd found peace away from the mess. That same week, I had a full consultation with the family harassment attorney. After reviewing everything, screenshots, the office incident, the building visit, the binder, They confirmed we had more than enough for a no-contact order. They recommended continuing to document everything, no matter how small, and also advised us to keep copies of any third-party messages that mentioned my family's actions. Before I blocked my mother's last remaining email account, she sent one final voice memo. It was a 45-second audio clip of her sobbing and saying, "We did this because we love you." The same woman who once stood in a circle with a clipboard like it was a board meeting was now pleading through a voice memo. There was nothing else in the message, no apology, no acknowledgement of what they'd done. Just emotional guilt wrapped in a recording. I didn't respond. I saved the file to the incident folder, then blocked the address permanently. Lily and I sat down later that night and made a decision we'd been circling for weeks. We're moving. Not across the country, not to escape, but to reset, somewhere quieter, more private, somewhere without old mail still arriving in my name, or neighbors who might recognize my parents from security footage. We've already spoken to the lawyer about transferring the case to the new district once we settle. It's not about running, it's about making sure they can't find us next time, because after everything they've done, next time won't just be another visit. Lily and I finalized our decision to relocate across the country. We picked a quiet city where neither of us had ties, signed the lease on a new apartment, and started packing up the place we'd been calling home. I landed a remote consulting role with a startup that offered relocation support, and everything finally started falling into place. No more pop-ins, no more surprise messages, just distance and a clean break. We kept the plan quiet. Only a handful of people knew: our lawyer, Lily's parents, 3 close friends, and my boss. We didn't post anything, didn't forward mail, didn't tell anyone who wasn't necessary. The moving truck was scheduled, utilities were set to transfer, and we had a timeline. All we needed to do was get through one more week. That's when the postcard arrived. It was slipped into our mailbox with no return address and just a single sentence in block letters: "Running doesn't fix anything." The card had no stamp, which meant someone had been close enough to physically drop it in. We checked our building's front desk and reviewed security footage. No visitors had been let in, which meant someone either followed a tenant inside or used the back entry. That door had been propped open twice in the last month by delivery drivers, and both times, we'd flagged it. This time it had been caught on camera, but the person's face wasn't fully visible, just a figure wearing a baseball cap and carrying a tote bag. We retraced every conversation we'd had about the move. Lily had one friend, Alana, who had been unusually distant over the past few weeks. No drama, just less responsive. Lily reached out and asked to meet. Alana agreed during the meetup. Lily asked her directly if she'd shared anything with anyone from my family. After a pause, Alana admitted that someone had reached out to her through LinkedIn a few weeks ago. The message came from someone claiming to work for a nonprofit focusing on family restoration. They said they were doing outreach on behalf of families struggling with estranged relatives. Alana said she gave them general info, not thinking much of it, but then started getting messages asking for specific details about our new city and timeline. It was my sister. She had created a fake LinkedIn profile under the name Carla Jensen, complete with a stock photo and fake nonprofit name. The profile was already deleted by the time we checked. We called our lawyer immediately. She drafted updated cease and desist letters addressed to my sister, my cousin, and my mother. This time, they were sent via both email and certified mail. We received confirmation that all 3 were delivered within 48 hours. After that, every single attempt at contact stopped cold. No more emails, calls, fake profiles, or physical visits. But it wasn't over. 2 days before our move, I got a call from the moving company, saying our reservation had been rescheduled due to a requested date change. I hadn't made any changes. I asked who called in. The rep told me the request came through their phone system, not online. I asked for a copy of the voice log. It was my aunt. She'd impersonated me on the phone, gave them my name, and said I wanted to push the move back a week. She had my full name, apartment number, and even the last 4 digits of the confirmation code. The company flagged the call, reinstated the original schedule, and sent us a verification pin to prevent further changes. We reported the impersonation and attempted interference to the police. It wasn't an emergency, but it was enough to warrant a formal incident report. Between the previous documentation and this new situation, we had a thick file ready if we ever needed to take it further. After that, we cut off 6 more people, acquaintances, distant connections, mutuals from old circles, anyone who had even a remote link to my family. No more loopholes, no more second chances. We also contacted the new apartment's management and requested enhanced security. They agreed to issue individual key fobs for us, disabled guest access without prior approval, and connected us to the building's camera feed. Every entry was now logged. Every package required a signature. No one could just drop by. We left at dawn, 2 cars, phones on airplane mode, no social media updates, no traceable route. Lily cried when we crossed the city line, not out of fear, just relief. When we reached the new place, it was quiet. No mail stacked at the door, no cameras in our faces, no one asking questions, just a blank slate. It felt like freedom. But we both knew the story wasn't entirely over, not yet. Within the first 2 weeks of settling into our new city, things started to feel almost normal again. Lily began her new hybrid tech role and had already met her team in person. I started onboarding with the consulting firm that brought me on remotely. We unpacked most of our boxes, found a couple of quiet restaurants nearby, and even started going on early morning walks. The silence was finally starting to feel real. Then an email landed in my inbox with the subject line requesting statement for family documentary. There was no sender name I recognized, just an address connected to a media pitch email service. The message was short, asking if I would like to contribute a statement to a documentary project titled The Wounded Ties, A Journey to Reconciliation. There was a Dropbox link and a paragraph explaining it was being pitched to networks to highlight stories of estranged families seeking healing. I almost ignored it until I saw my full name in the body of the email. I clicked the Dropbox link using a burner device I kept for unknown links. Inside was a 6-minute trailer. My mother was seated in front of a camera, looking tearful. My sister stood behind her with a hand on her shoulder. My cousin Leo appeared next, holding the same binder they'd brought to Lily's work. A woman who introduced herself as a family therapist and healer spoke to the camera with soft music playing in the background. Then it cut to photos. One was of me in college, smiling at a barbecue. The next was a screenshot from Lily's private Instagram, blurred slightly, but still clearly her face. They had included her without consent. One clip had my sister narrating over footage of our old family home. We lost him to outside influence, to someone who does not understand the meaning of legacy. They used our full names. My last name appeared in bold white text during the intro. The video ended with a call to action. Help us bring him back. Less than 24 hours after seeing that, my boss emailed me directly. Someone claiming to be a documentary producer had contacted the company, requesting a comment on the subject's recent family trauma. He didn't engage with them and thought it was bizarre, but he wanted me to be aware. I told him it was a private issue that had been taken completely out of context, and he said no further action would be taken. But the fact that it reached him at all meant it wasn't a small production. We contacted our lawyer immediately. She tracked down the videographer, who turned out to be a freelance creator hired off a project board. He had no idea the people behind the documentary were unlicensed, and once he received a formal cease and desist, he took the entire project down within a day. The Dropbox folder was deleted, the preview page vanished, and his name was removed from the hosting platform. But the damage had already begun to spread. A former colleague from my last firm messaged me. They said they had come across a Facebook post linking to the trailer and were concerned. The post was gone by the time I checked, but it confirmed our names had circulated, if only briefly, in a space connected to my work history. Lily's name had also been dragged into it again. My cousin had created a public Facebook page titled The Healing of My Last Name, where she posted daily updates claiming progress was being made. She used stock photos of families hugging and included fake quotes like, "We just want our brother back." One post had a paragraph suggesting Lily was a barrier to generational wholeness. It didn't use her name, but the language and timeline made it obvious. Lily's parents had enough. They contacted their own attorney and sent a formal warning. If her name or image appeared again in any public content, legal action would follow. They also included screenshots of every post we had archived. The so-called therapist from the trailer was also identified. She wasn't a therapist at all, just another self-proclaimed empathic guide who ran a personal blog and sold PDF healing workbooks. Her real name had been used in the project credits. We submitted a complaint to the state's health licensing board and reported her site for impersonating licensed professionals. Within 2 days, my cousin deleted every one of her social media accounts. No posts, no pages, no profile pictures. Just gone. The last attempt came quietly. I got a direct message on one of my backup accounts from someone calling themselves a friend of your mother's. The message was short. "You don't want to be the reason your family's legacy ends. Please reconsider." No name, no reply. I archived it, screenshotted it, and blocked the account. This was never about reconciliation. This was about control, about public image, about being able to say we tried while building a version of the story where they were the victims. They were willing to lie, stage footage, fake credentials, and risk my job just to protect their narrative. We knew then what we had to do next, not just stay hidden, but make sure they couldn't reach us ever again. And 4 months passed without a single message, call, email, or knock on the door. It was the longest stretch of silence we'd had since everything started. At first it felt like the calm before something worse, but nothing came. No fake accounts, no flyers, no mysterious packages, just quiet. We settled into our routine. Lily's work picked up, my client load grew steady. Even our dog, Pico, adjusted to the rhythm of our new life. Then Lily came home from work one evening with a look that told me the silence had cracked. A coworker had just returned from a weekend trip to our former city. She mentioned attending a women's empowerment seminar at a boutique event space downtown. The keynote speaker? My sister. She was going by her full name and calling herself a family accountability coach. According to the coworker, she shared a story about losing a brother to a manipulative relationship and finding healing through boundaries and public awareness. We looked her up. She had rebranded herself online with a new website, professionally shot headshot, and a tagline that read, "When love walks away, leadership steps in." She was running seminars, offering private coaching calls, and even selling a $299 video course titled, "When They Walk Away, Loving Through Estrangement." In her promo video, she stood in front of a blurred photo of what was clearly our old family kitchen, describing how estrangement doesn't have to be permanent if you lead with strength. One section of her website claimed she'd worked alongside licensed therapists and helped over 60 families find reconnection. Another tab included glowing testimonials that used language almost identical to the fake messages I'd received months earlier. Most of it was unverifiable. All of it was carefully curated to present her as the hero of a personal struggle she had invented at my expense. We compiled everything, screenshots, the event listings, the course details. Our lawyer reached out to the organization that had hosted her latest seminar. She included documentation from the cease and desist letters, the previous incidents involving our workplaces, and the trailer that had nearly caused professional fallout. 2 days later, the event listing disappeared from the website. No notice, no explanation, just gone. But it didn't stop there. That same week, anonymous posts began popping up on a few public forums and discussion boards. They described a man who abandoned his family to follow a woman who turned him against everyone who loved him. The posts called him manipulative, emotionally abusive, and an ungrateful narcissist. One post even referenced a former job title I hadn't used publicly in years. The writing style was identical to messages my cousin had sent before deleting her accounts. The same structure, the same buzzwords, even the same phrasing used during the intervention about losing touch with reality. Someone was trying to poison the well without naming me directly, but the details were too specific for it to be anyone else. We forwarded the posts to our lawyer. She issued a final set of legal notices for defamation, impersonation, and harassment. This time, the tone was different. The message was clear. If any of this continued, we would file suit. Not threaten, not warn, file. Everything stopped after that. The Facebook pages vanished. Her coaching site went offline. No more posts appeared, no new profiles popped up. It was like someone yanked the plug and disappeared. We checked once a week for the next month, just to be sure. Silence. Lily got promoted not long after. I secured a long-term contract with a new client who wanted me on retainer. We adopted a rescue dog, small, energetic, and completely unaware of everything we'd been through. We named him Pico. The apartment, once a safe zone under lockdown, finally started to feel like home. Then the last message came, a certified letter, no return address, delivered by courier, signed for at the door. It was from my father. Inside was a single piece of paper. One sentence typed in the middle. I hope you find what you're looking for. No signature, no ask, no apology. We didn't reply. We never will. The intervention wasn't the beginning. It was just their first move when control started slipping. Every action since then, every fake therapist, every staged visit, every online smear, was about one thing, forcing me back into a role I had outgrown. It was never about love. It was about dominance, about appearances, about the version of me they wanted to parade around as proof of their good parenting. They lost that version the moment I walked out of that circle of chairs. I don't know what they'll say about me next. I don't care. I'm no longer part of the story they're trying to tell. I'm done and I'm free.